Hello viewers, Bangla Cartoon is celebrating its 150 years this year. A journey that was started in the 19th century colonial Calcutta, when one of the oldest newspapers in India, Amritabachar Potrika, published a cartoon on the 28th of February 1872, ridiculing the government's approach of teaching Bengalis how to govern the state. Over the years, Bengal has produced so many legendary and outstanding cartoonists who contributed significantly in this rich art form. But the question is, how it all started? Of all places, why particularly in Kolkata? Today we'd like to hear this fascinating story from a person who doesn't require any introduction. He himself is one of the beloved and renowned humour illustrator in Kolkata today. Yes viewers, I am taking you to Kolkata, a place where it all started many years ago. So fasten your seatbelt, here you go. I welcome our beloved cartoonist Sri Debasish Deb. Debasish Deb, very welcome to this show.
Thank you, Bibek, and welcome viewers. I'm really glad that I can be a part of this project of yours where we are going to project the evolution of Bengali cartoons. This was required for a long time. This was necessary, and let's hope we could organize these our discussions and the way we are going to show or showcase the cartoons, which will of course drive our point home.
Absolutely. Debasish Deb, as we know that cartoon came to India with Britishers around 1850. When British run Delhi Gazette Press, they released the first ever humour magazine, the Delhi Sketchbook. And there is another magazine, Indian Sharivari, which got published right here from Kolkata. But on the other hand, Bengal has this rich tradition of ridiculing themselves, which started, I think, even before that, which we normally find it in the Kalikat pots or the scroll paintings. But I think the story was quite fascinating.
Yeah, if you look at the history, you will find that Bengal always had a strong, rich tradition of practicing humor. The common people, they were always indulging themselves in all sorts of mockery, satire, and ridiculing each other, which were greatly reflected in the literature, in the paintings, as well as all sorts of performing arts like theatre, rural operas, and those were in fact charged with, loaded with sometimes bizarre kind of humor. Some scandalous statements also, because during the beginning of 19th century, the nouveau rich culture flourished in and around Kolkata, and the lifestyle of these Bengali babus were so extravagant and so vulgar that it became a regular issue, a regular subject of criticism from the common middle class or the subalterns. So they didn't approve these kind of the overtness. They were many different type of manifestations we can see, humorous ones, and those were full of satires and subject of ridicule. Most noted example that we can see is in the Kalighat paintings. During the 19th century, the Kalighat, a place called Kalighat near the Ganga river in Kolkata, flourished, became very popular due to the Kali temple, you see. And there were all sorts of artists from different parts of Bengal, the villages. They started coming and they all came and gathered around this temple and started artistic endeavors, which turned into quite a business hub. You see, they used to draw, they used to sell the paintings, and the subjects were all mostly dealt with the goddesses and all sorts of religious elements. So what happened was this English people, they enjoyed the subjects. And the subjects what? The subjects dealt with these babus, these notch girls, their debaucheries, daily debaucheries, and all sorts of drunkard people, and these kind of characters made a very good subject as painting. And those became gradually very popular, and they started selling very well, you see. This Kalighat painting took a sharp turn towards strong social criticism through a series of paintings revolving around the sensational murder case called the Tarakeshwar scandal, which took place in 1873. It shook the entire Bengal, because the terrible incident where the head priest of Tarakeshwar temple, the Mohanto, was involved with Elokeshi, the young housewife of Nobin Chandra, and Nobin Chandra, out of rage, out of anger, he killed his wife with a fish knife. It was really a ghastly murder case, and it became a very interesting thing to discuss, and
extramarital affair.
Yeah. It was very juicy, as a subject. So everywhere and people started writing about it. People started, whispering about it, and it came into open. And the Kalighat painters, they also got involved in drawing, and the British people, they were enjoying thoroughly what is happening in the Bengal household. They found a touch of erotism, you see. So that also, gave a lot of impetus to these painters, who made series of paintings on this subject.
So this is around the same time the Bengali cartoons started appearing in the newspapers like Amrita Bajar Patrika.
See, education was spreading due to our British rulers. There were people who they came to know more about the Western, the Western culture. You see, cartoon was part of it, and gradually magazines like Punch, etc. started coming to our country. And since Kolkata was then the capital of the British Empire, people of Kolkata got the opportunity to see, to understand, to enjoy, to appreciate more of cartoons and cartoon magazines. There was, of course, Horbola Bhar, but that was for a very short time. You see, it came and went. But that was one of the pioneers of cartooning by the Indian artists, the first time, and more specifically Bengalis. And Boshantok was most famous, most well-known Bengali humour magazine, which lasted for 2 years and which were run entirely by Bengali crew. And what were the subject? Obviously the subject mostly followed what the Britishers did. They were critical about the people of Bengal, the people of our country, the orthodox attitude, their foolishness, their faulty lifestyle. They were the primary subject, you see, the primary theme of the cartoons. Truly, Horbola Bhar was a pioneer in the sense that it was published, it was founded by the Bengalis, and somehow the drawing of Horbola Bhar, had some similarity with the typical character, the symbol of Punch, that that satanic character that we see. So that was a coincidence, of course, but the most important, the most notable incident was the publishing of Boshantok in the year 1874, and it was it was published by two brothers, Prananath Dotto and Girindranath Dotto, belonging to the Hatkhola Dottobari. These two brothers, they were efficient enough to handle the editorial writing features regularly. In fact, Boshantok ran for 2 years. Then it was rounded up, and they themselves drew cartoons. We don't know about who did which cartoon because the name was not mentioned, but I think it was as a beginning. As a beginning, it was remarkable achievement from their side, and their drawings were adequate. Whatever their goal was achieved. In the past, only the Britishers in their magazines, in their humorous magazines, which were published in India, we saw only Britishers targeting the Indians, their foolishness, orthodox behaviors. They were the target of the British cartoonists. But the first time in Boshantok, we saw it was, the table was turned, and the British and the Bengali cartoonists were paying back the Britishers through satiring, to making fun of the British rulers. They were brave enough. The cartoonists were, Prananath Dotto and these Dotto brothers were brave enough to take this stand. So Boshantok will be always remembered as the pioneering magazine, which at that time, at that period, stood up criticizing and making fun of their British rulers.
In early 20th century, it was Gaganendranath Tagore who brought the modern approach in Bengali cartoon, and the books he published during that time was considered the milestone.
Yeah, Gaganendranath in a way was a very exceptional character. As an artist, he was trained, of course self-taught, but he trained himself in the Oriental style. He admired the Japanese and the Chinese paintings, the brush, typical brush strokes, etc., which he applied in his own art. He was basically a painter, you see, but being in the being from the famous Tagore family, his uncle was Rabindranath. So the entire gharana was of painting, of creativity, full of creativity. But somehow he later on he focused more on his paintings. Basically, he was famous. He was well known for the typical cubism kind of art, which he administered in his paintings. But somehow later on he shifted to cartooning also. We saw that he shifted to cartooning. Gogrendranath was a jury member, and he had to visit, he had to attend the hearings, the proceedings in the court very often. The entire thing, the entire happenings, the entire episode used to bore him a lot. So he wanted to amuse himself. He wanted to break his boredom during the sessions going on, and he started doing caricatures of people, the lawyers, all the members, all the other people, the gatherings. Primarily, his cartoons focused on the high caste, upper caste Brahmins, their hypocrisies, the absolute the tendency to exploit common people, and that was the major part of his cartooning. Of course, Gogrendranath never tried to publish his cartoons in all the journals, excepting magazine like Modern Review was one of those magazines which published some of his cartoons regularly, but otherwise he was a quite enterprising person. He published his own books, series of books of cartoon collections, and 3 of them in a row, which were very, very popular. And he was absolutely merciless when he attacked the upper caste Brahmins, and he showed that how the double face, the contradiction of these characters. They were one side, they were very pious, they were very religious, and the other side they were always, trying to entertain themselves and wanted to lead a very luxurious life. So that really, I think haunted Gogrendranath all the time. That he criticized educated Bengalis trying to imitate Britishers and trying to imitate them, trying to impress the Britishers to gain certain kind of some advantages in social life. And he used to call it Ingo Bongo, the Bengalis, the Bengali cultures mixed with the English culture, and people were so greedy about that, about gaining a certain kind of intimacy with the Britishers. He took up very important 2 issues: the Brahmins and the Bengali so-called educated people trying to imitate the Britishers. And he was actually had a very interesting style, pattern of drawing, and his paintings were very sophisticated. And he most of the time his paintings followed the European gharana, mostly we can compare that with there's a very uncanny similarity between Gaganendranath's style of painting, when he was using the colors, the figure drawings, the distortions, the comical expressions, even the costumes at the get together, a party going on, a get together, and then all people are trying to foolishly imitate the Britishers with their dress, you see, and so these are some kind of uncanny similarity with Toulouse-Lautrec's style of painting.
PCL or Kafi Khan was the first internationally acclaimed political cartoonist. We heard during his stay in US, his work even surprised Walt Disney.
Yes, of course. And in fact, we can call PCL the father of political cartoons in Bengal, at least. And he was a very erudite, educated man. He started his career, he was born in Dhaka, which is in now Bangladesh, and he took up a job of a professor in a college, and his subject, he taught history and civics. But somehow he had that political acumen, which we call, and he had a concept, and he loved to follow the political happenings all over the world, and that in fact encouraged him to start drawing cartoons. PCL did start doing cartoons regularly in Shonibare Chiti and settled down in Kolkata, but it was a challenge for him because during 1930s cartooning was not a very one couldn't earn a lot. In fact, the earning was very little for a cartoonist. That challenge he had to take, and parallelly for a living, he started taking up assignments in publicity companies and in drawing for advertising campaigns. So through which he started earning a little bit of money, and which kept him run his family in Kolkata initially. But in the 1940s, his first English cartoon was published in a magazine called Advance, which was the editor was Bibek Sengupta, and from Advance he shifted to another English leading daily called Amrita Bazar Patrika, and that particular newspaper house, he in fact remained as a cartoonist. He worked as a cartoonist till his death in 1975, and during that period, both in the Bengali daily Jugantar and in the English daily Amrita Bazar Patrika, he kept on doing his cartoons, his political cartoons almost regularly, almost daily, and he in fact he did his comic strips for the young readers, then serious political cartoons, and the understanding of the political situation, the entire political situation, and that was during his time. It was extremely volatile, extremely full of incidents, one after another. We had this independence, we had this the partition of India, then there was the refugee crisis, then the Gandhiji assassination. All these kind of major events become part of his subjects in cartoon. All his cartoons has a very serious comment or a statement during that period in our country.
Debasish Deb, you have seen some of the eminent cartoonists from the golden generation like Reboti Bhushan, Chondi Lahiri and Amal Chakraborty. And you have seen them working during their heydays. And I believe everyone is having their uniqueness while doing the cartooning. So can you just tell us something about that?
Yeah, I was not having any kind of a objective, you see. I just did it for fun. And I wanted to keep some record, you see, how they work, how they handle their brush or the pen, their the place where they work, their house, their family, etc. So I started with Reboti Bhushan because he was, at that time, he was the senior most. And I used to go, I visit his place very often. From office, I used to, bunk my office and go to his place. And as a result, I came to learn a lot of things from him. How cartoonists, conceive, how they, interplay with humor and people and characters. Especially, Reboti Deb was a specialist in caricaturing, you see, and he's one of the best caricaturists in Bengal ever. He was prolific as a caricaturist, and he starting from a magician to film directors like Satyajit Ray, and then and he could write very well. He was a writer also parallelly, and he learned drawing from the great Abanindranath, you see. Later on, when he left for Delhi, he was quite well known in Kolkata before he left for Delhi. After he came back from Delhi, after say 20 years, people have forgotten him. That was very unfortunate. Nobody was caring for his cartoons. Nobody was calling. Nobody was asking him to come and draw. So he was getting more and more detached from the center of happenings, you see. And that he was vocal about it. When I was taking his interview, he said he actually had a lot of complain about it, regret about it. He said that he wished he remained as a painter than a cartoonist. Because the cartoons doesn't pay in Kolkata.
Debasish Deb, that things have changed. Today, very few newspapers they are carrying pocket cartoons. Even the political cartoons are very rare today. And when we talk about the humor magazine, which were once dominated Bengal, now they are mere shadows of the glorious past. What do you think about that?
See, there has to be effort from the editorial people, you see, the editors, the publishers. They should come forward and try to publish this kind of cartoons, or keep on publishing, you see. Cartoons are still very popular among common people. They want to laugh, they want to see cartoons than read, They want to see more of cartoons than reading. And I think a pure cartoon magazine can be a very good proposition at this stage, because a lot of things, political or otherwise, that are happening which deserve to be a subject of cartoons. And they're so humorous, so funny, so idiotic, so absurd. Daily news gives us this lot of opportunities, and I think the cartoonists, the new generation cartoonists are very much prepared to take on. But there has to be effort, enterprise from the section, the publishing people, you see. They should come forward. They should invest money. I don't think they are very costly also, costly matter. But I think we have to wait, still wait for such enterprises.
It was such an insightful discussion, Debasish Deb, and so interesting to hear from you. I hope the viewers, they also enjoyed the session. They can add their comments, and we'll come back very soon with a new episode. Thank you so much, Debasish Deb, for joining today.
Yeah, I think we have done a good job, and I really appreciate your enthusiasm and sincere effort in this entire episode, the chapter. So I think we can always look forward to have a great audience appreciating the way we wanted to project the Bengali cartoonists in our interviews. So best of luck.